Hello crafty friends, this is Jen and welcome back to Katahdin Crafts. Today I'm teaming up with my friend Carrie Rhoades for a super fun challenge. Carrie challenged me to come up with a Valentine's Day card using a stamp set not designated for Valentine's Day. I had a lot of ideas in mind, but ultimately I chose Lawn Fawn's Ahoy Matey stamp and coordinating die sets for the main focus of today's card. I started off my card project by arranging the stamps on my Tim Holtz stamping platform. Then I inked them up using Lawn Fundamentals Jet Black ink, which is of course Copic marker friendly. The great thing about using any of these stamping platforms is that you have the ability to re-ink up your stamps and repeatedly stamp them till you get a nice crisp sharp edge and image. So I did that, as you can see, 3 different times, and now I was ready to start coloring. And first I decided to go with the treasure chest, and for the browns I used E21, E23, and E27. And I started out with my E23, the medium, and I just laid down some color and went back in with the dark color on top of that and started blending those out. You can see then I go in with a little bit of more E23 again and blend in those shadows so it's not such a hard line. You want it to look a little seamless and smooth. So then I'm smoothing it out now with some E21. And I will be the first one to admit that I am definitely not the best at coloring, but it's a work in progress. I like to do it. I try. And it's just like anything in life, practice makes perfect. So I will keep on practicing and because I love it. Now I got out the golds and I'm using YR21, YR24, and YR27. Again, I start with like the medium range and work my way up. Or I start with medium a lot and then I go to the dark and then I go back to medium and then to light to smooth it all out. As we get further into the card, you will notice that I did end up stamping out a couple different images that I don't end up using. And right here I had a little bit of a glitch with my video, and so I missed a little bit of the pirate girl being. I'll make sure that I put those colors, the Copic colors, on the screen for you. But for her dress, I did use R05 and R29 for the shadows. And for her hat, and well, the pink areas on the girl, I used R20 and R22. And now I'm onto her hair. And I used YR24, E23, and E27. I wanted it to have more of like a golden look on it. And now we're back into the boy. And for his vest, I used the same colors as I used for her dress. I wanted them to coordinate. So we have R05 and R29. And then for his pants, I wanted them to be like a jean color. So I'm using B41 for the light and then B45 for the shadows. And then for his shirt, I went with Y00 and Y02 to blend those together. And for his little wooden peg leg, I used E23 and E34. And then we went into his pirate hat. And for that, I didn't want to go with just a plain black. I wanted it to have a little bit of dimension. So I went with the cool grays, and I used 4, 6, and 8. So C's on all of those. And then I had a little tiny mistake in the skull that you'll see, and I went in with a colorless blender and just took out a little bit of that color. And I didn't want that skull to be completely stark white, so I went with a little C00 just for it not to be quite so bright, and just, yeah, not stand out quite as much. And then for his hair, I did E23 and E34, and that finished up, well, the little boy. And so now we're doing the bird. And so for his beak, I used Y38 and YR16. And for his body, I used G00 and G02. And now I'm going to line them up with the coordinating dies and get ready to put those through the die cut machine. So I'm going to cut those off screen, and then I'm going to get out the Lawn Fawn's Palm Tree Border Set. And I also got out some scrap pieces of my Basil cardstock in craft and green. And I did get some brown out for the base of the trees as well. And I just prepared those and cut them in the die cut machine. And then I was ready to do my background. And for this, I used my OXIDE inks, which I absolutely love. I love the way they blend. I used dried marigold, scattered straw, and tattered rose. I wanted to get like a romantic sunset sky going on. So I started off with the scattered straw right in the middle. And then I went with the dried marigold on each side. And then the tattered rose. I tend to like softer colors like this for my skies. I used a lot of softer blues and definitely a lot of the softer colors. And again, I love the way the OXIDE inks blend together. It makes it just super simple to mix up the colors and make a nice, really pretty background sky. So I just kept on working on that and blending until I liked my results. And I used, as you can see, I used a piece of paper. I always do that because my fingers get ink everywhere. And then I'm just cleaning up real quick with one of the microfiber cloths. And then it's time to start gluing all the pieces together. So I was just testing it out to see how it was all going to fit. And I did go back and put a little bit more color on the corner of the marigold color. You can see because the palm trees went down a little bit further on that. So I'm going to use some Blonde Fawn glue and go ahead and put those green tops right on the base of my palm trees. Now, a lot of times I do end up cutting out my die cuts in just the Nina white cardstock and then using Copics to color it. But for this, I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I feel like this is almost a little bit bolder, and I wanted that nice bold background because it's a pretty simplistic. Once I get done with putting on the green palms, I'm going to go ahead and add the sandy beach to the bottom of the base. And right now, as you can see, the brown is hanging out over the craft. And I'm okay with that because I'm going to cut the whole entire card down with an A2 base die cut. And so that will all be taken care of. So I wasn't really worried about the sizing as I was putting away the card or putting together the card front. So now I'm going to grab my Spellbinders, Nestabilities, the A2 matting base A set. And I was just playing around and deciding which one. And I decided to go with the largest one in the set. So I prepared that to cut and I cut it off screen. Now it was kind of a thick, there's a lot of cardstock layers there, so a little thick. So it got a little stuck on the side. I just had to take some scissors and snip that. Next, I die cut the heart from Lawn Fawn's How You Bean Heart add-on coordinating die set. And then I started assembling the card. I already had the idea of how I wanted it laid out. I wanted it to look like the treasure map was leading to the heart. So I wanted to lay it out just like that, like the X marks the spot. And I wanted them both to be holding the heart at the same time. So I made sure that that happened with their little hands. And put the X right on top of that heart. So that's where the treasure is. And then we put another treasure. I put the treasure on the side, but I really wanted it to be like the treasure really was the heart. So I thought that that worked out nicely. And then I added the little bird on top of his head. And then I grabbed out my honeybee stamps, the kindness for the is, and then the thanks and giving stamp set for your heart and my. And these are incredible sets because there's so many different words that you can build your own sentiment with. And so, I mean, they're always my go-to. It's amazing how many actually different pieces are in those stamp sets. And then I finish it off with Ahoy Matey again with the treasure. So your heart is my treasure is what I wanted my sentiment to say. So once I get my sentiment all done, I'm just going to clean up my area just a little bit and then go ahead and grab my card base and add the front to the base. Now this is something that I always love that Carrie does. When she adds her card fronts on, she makes a cute little heart out of her glue. I think that that is super cute in all of her videos. And now that I've got my card front on, I'm going to just go ahead and grab out the How You've Been heart add-on again and just add that sentiment to the inside. And I kind of wanted to center it, so I was counting on my blocks on my glass mat and just making sure I got that pretty much in the center. I wasn't going to really worry about it too much the inside. I'm just making it a little bit more interesting. And my stamp wasn't all that clear, so I grabbed out my Copic pen and just filled in a little bit of the spots that didn't. And there we have it. So thanks so much to Carrie for initiating this challenge. It was really wicked fun to do. And make sure you head over to her channel, please. I'm going to have the link below. She's got a great blog and an Instagram page to follow. She's has some amazing tutorials, and she's a very talented. So please make sure you check out the links below. And thank you so much for joining me today on this cool challenge that I was able to participate in. I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you soon.